All right, welcome back to Daybreak. I'm trying to lift it. It's refusing to get lifted. All right, so we are talking about the situation with corruption, fight against corruption, and the DCI yesterday spoke saying that he has expressed powers to investigate matters corruption. I just want to take a quote of what he had to say that Mr. Kinoti differed, saying that his office was the only one constitutionally mandated to fight corruption. He asked those telling him to stop investigations to familiarize themselves with the Constitution. So I don't want to get to the point of whether he should fight or he should not fight. I'm just looking at where we are positioning this fight against corruption, where politicians have a lot of things to say. It's becoming of an issue of who supports the DCI or who does not. But ultimately, like the challenges that we have been talking about, you are pointing fingers at corruption. It needs someone to fight. How sustainable can this fight be with all this that is happening?
Now, first and foremost, I want to say that Kinoti was not obligated to respond to what the politicians were saying. However, when you look at Article 95 of the Constitution, Parliament and we politicians were the ones who oversight these state officers and all that. And Parliament can deliberate on any issue of concern to the people. So for politicians, we are allowed to say whatever it is. But Kinoti wasn't obligated to respond to this. But when you go, but now that he has responded, and it's true, this is under the National Police NPS Act. He has powers to do those investigations. It's not confined just to petty crimes. As if someone saying pickpockets. No, he has a big scope, and he's the one who has the capacity when it comes to issues of investigations. And even at times where EACC cannot manage, they'll run to him. This is a collaborative framework whereby we need to have the DCI working together with the EACC and the DPP. And by the way, he's the one that gets evidence. And you know, when he says that he's going to send people to committee, it is the courts that can only do that. And it will be based on the evidence he's going to give. He's not the one to send people to committee. Maybe it's the media misunderstood this. But it's based on the evidence that he gives. Remember, the judges will only make a judgment based on the evidence that has been given. If it's not watertight, you can't confiscate anybody. You can't do that. So he plays a very critical role. My only concern is we call upon these bodies to work in a collaborative manner. Fight against corruption can't be won by DCI alone. The EACC has to be there, the DPP has to be there, and even the common mwananchi. So let's leave this politics aside and let's leave these state agencies to do the work that they're supposed to do.
Mheshimiwa Oluoch, as we conclude on this, yes, let's leave out politics in this, but the politicians are the ones who are coming with this politics. So how do the institutions that are fighting corruption shield themselves from all this?
I think the DCI didn't have to respond, but you can understand why. Because the attacks were sustained, they were deliberate. I think they were meant to divert him. The only problem that he allowed himself to be baited. They baited him, and he allowed himself to be baited. You see, the Inspector General of Police have somebody called the police spokesman. I wish the DCI would have somebody who does that for him on a daily basis, respond, rebut, and pick up these people on a daily basis so the DCI is not distracted. Because this was meant to be a distraction. Having said that, in terms of role differentiation, I think DCI has a more overarching role as opposed to EACC, because that's the distraction Murkomen and team are trying to bring. If you ask me, EACC should actually be limited to enforcement of Chapter 6 on leadership and integrity, and play maybe an advisory role on economic crimes. So, and you hear what the DCI was trying to say, and I think he's put it here in terms of the Police Act. You see, these crimes were transboundary, they were complex, and they go into all the aspects that he has put here. There is money laundering that was involved, money that was moving from account to account, from country to country. That's very complex. There were issues to do with organized crimes involved in here. There were issues to do with money laundering, economic crimes. So the array of things that were being done here are so complex that the DCI is the person properly equipped to be able to do this. So I think we cannot get into that. My only problem is that the other role which is listed here, which is criminal intelligence, he needs to be able to tell us how much of the criminal intelligence to prevent crime is the DCI doing? Because now we are following things that have gone. And I think you've seen the frustration. I've seen the DPP on TV saying there is only so much that you can recover. It's very negligible. They've used it to buy towels, to buy pillows, to buy alcohol. By the time you actually get it back, you spend so much time and more money looking for it.
Right.
So they need to tell us that the DCI, how much he has invested in terms of criminal intelligence.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to take a caller. Wanjala, you're actually calling in from Kiminini. We have your Member of Parliament with us here in studio. What's your question or your comment to the conversation we're having?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. This is Wanjala Wanyonyi from Kiminini.
Yes.
Just responding to my MP Chris there.
Yes.
Actually, I just heard him saying that DCI has the mandate to do everything. But actually, on corruption issues, the anti-corruption ethics, it has the mandate to investigate all the corrupt allegations and can only invite the DCI where they feel that the DCI has to come in and then work together. But now we have seen these things. Actually, they are misleading. They are like trying to use the DCI department to achieve their political egos. And you see, like like my MP, there was a time I heard him saying that he wants the parliamentary system, like now picking an MP to become a minister. And we came from it long ago. So these guys, they just want to take us back and back. Look at what is happening. In where we are having maize.
All right, Wanjala.
Like rotting in stores, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Angela, for your comment. You've made your point. Of course, I thank you for being a loyal viewer of this show. You at least have a chronology of what your your MP has been saying. But he is referring to EACC has the full mandate to investigate corruption. He just wanted to refer to us, as you prepare to respond, to refer ourselves to the National Police Service Act 2011. I know it has been referenced in the Daily Nation, but also it talks of the functions of the DCI are to collect and provide criminal intelligence in so many other things, but including economic crimes, piracy, organized crimes, and cybercrime, among others. So economic crimes, to collect and provide criminal intelligence.
Yes.
I believe that's an investigation. So I don't know what your response is to Wanjala.
No. Wanjala is, and I'm happy, the people of community, they're very good, intelligent people. As you can see, they're really following.
Yes.
And I'm happy that they're following. But it's true, you've answered him when you look at the DCI, the way it's provided for in the law. It has actually a bigger mandate. Even when it comes to matters of economic crimes, DCI is also mandated. Though we have a body, EACC, which is specifically for this. And when it comes to complex investigations, they have to invite DCI for purposes of synergy.
Can I read for you what the Nini says? Because it's very clear here what Article 79 says. It says Parliament shall enact legislation to establish an independent EACC which shall have the status and powers of the commissions under Chapter 15. It was not established under Chapter 15. It's not one of those. But it's established here and for the purposes of ensuring compliance with and enforcement of this chapter. This chapter meaning Chapter 6. So the role of EACC is really very limited. It's only the Act itself that now tries to broaden the perspective, but the Constitution 79, which is what anchors it in the Supreme Law, it simply says enforcement of Chapter 6.
It's unfortunate that the players are talking about all this, whether they are right or wrong. They are lawyers, they can read the law, but obviously lawyers interpret the law differently.
The lawyers will always say the Constitution is very clear.
The law is very clear.
Very clear.
So let's take a look at some of the feedback that have been sent, because the feedback is very clear.
Feedback is also very clear.
What's the next thing we're discussing?
All right, so let's look at those SMSs. First, we have, again, you don't leave your name. They want EACC because its chairperson will also will ask us to pray, and they continue looting. Let Kinoti perform his duty. Whoa, okay. I have nothing to say about that.
Okay. Nixon, you say we want the deeds or actions to lead the words, e.g. we want statements about who have been jailed more than who will. Okay.
And finally, we have, again, you don't leave your name. Let the government accept there is famine in Kenya and address the issue without resulting to cover-ups. Footage clips don't lie. Yes, unfortunately, Dr. Chris, we are out of time, but there are so many other stories that we can look at if we had time, of course, including page 9 of the Daily Nation. Tearful tales of the Keza Circles savers and Gakuyu investors. You remember those pictures at the DCI headquarters of people that had gone to write statements there. They were defrauded of their money with the circle. Of course, our thoughts and prayers go to them. On the back page,
no, they need to be paid back their money, period.
For our thoughts and prayers. On the back page of the Daily Nation, new audit exposes financial rot in counties. Tharaka-Nithi, Siaya, Tana River, Meru and Taita Taveta counties among the worst offenders. And the governors have been on a tender awarding spree, even in situations where there is no guarantee of budgetary allocations accruing pending bills of 108 billion shillings by close of 2017-18 financial year. So you can see this questionable spending, yet we have challenges like we face in the counties.
Sam, I have to read a tweet here. It's in regards to also the issue of drought. It says, it pains me so much for us to go through the same problems year in, year out since I was a child. Every year, some part of Kenya will always have famine, and it's always to be declared a national disaster. We need leaders who can see beyond CO2, kupayuka and denial. Hashtag, we cannot ignore this.